Section Chief Kwak Jae-kang of the research team, a mad scientist who once threw his subordinates into the cheerful theme park Ghost Story. He also served as a consultant for the Manor of the Blind incident, which had near catastrophic results where almost everyone met their end.
I've been wanting to have a long talk with you, Mr. Rodeer. Finally, the opportunity has come.
That crazed Ghost Story researcher grinned and extended his hand.
Your exploits have been extraordinary. I've been dying to hear your thoughts.
What a boss you'd hate to shake hands with, but I did it anyway. Such is office life.
I heard that once the new year begins, D-Squad will become an elite squad. With that, we'll all get so busy working as a unit that even idle chats before heading into darkness might be impossible. And I was just too curious.
Then, with a cheerful face, he got to the point.
How did you manage to win over Section Chief Lead Jaehyun? He always cuts me off when I try to call you over. That's not like him. He's not usually that proactive.
Internally, I screamed. Thank you, squad leader. But honestly, I didn't actively try to win him over. All I had to do was say I didn't want to. Section Chief Lee Jaehyun was already a stickler for the rules and made every effort to reflect his squad members' requests. No one had made such a request before. After all, in this Ghost Story Specialist Corporation, I'm probably the only one who'd rather split the workload into N parts than venture into a ghost story solo, no matter how cushy it might be. And if anyone like me did exist, they're probably long gone, dead or disappeared. This time, however, it seemed even Lee Jaehyun had difficulty stopping it on his own. Or perhaps there simply wasn't any justification to do so.
Anyway, don't worry. I don't hold any grudges about how hard it was to bring you in, Mr. Rodeer. It's just, isn't it fascinating how there seems to be nothing Mr. Rodeer can't do?
Fascinating. I don't quite understand.
You're good at your job, articulate, and you manage your reputation well. Very impressive. But humans are creatures who can't excel at everything, myself included.
He lightly tapped his own chest.
Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, so...
His eyes, gleaming with a passionate obsession for ghostly exploration, fixed on me.
What's your weakness? How does it remain so hidden, even while you're diving headfirst into bizarre paranormal phenomena? I'm genuinely curious!
Seriously.
If I could tell you, it wouldn't be a weakness.
Haha, a clever answer to a foolish question.
He's not predicting that I'm a coward, is he? I discreetly swallowed hard. Kwak Jae-kang spread his hands wide.
Anyway, I called you here today for good news.
What kind of good news, exactly?
Something worth celebrating. By my calculations. Mr. Rodeer, you've already earned more than half the points needed for a wish ticket, haven't you?
This guy's scary sharp. I recalled my accumulated points up until last week.
Accumulated points 177,200p.
Even this number alone was staggering. It was a figure unimaginable for a rookie who hadn't even been with the company for a year, so I'd never bragged about it. Even in a department where everyone openly talks about their resignation dates, there are limits. When someone's this much of an outlier, people inevitably start thinking differently. But who could have guessed? As of this week, my accumulated points had entered an entirely new, outrageous realm.
Accumulated points 277.
At this point, people could start claiming it was rigged. It's all thanks to Sekwang Technical High School. Let's break down the base points per grade. And I cleared Sekwang Technical High School solo at A grade. Though multiple people entered and cleared it together, I was the only one officially ranked A. Moreover, the solution I concocted was just intense enough to be recognized as a solo effort. Thanks to the enthusiastic approval of directors Chong and Ho, the development department's two powerhouses, my reward passed without issue. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. And this morning the registration was finalized. Officially, Kim Soleum had now accumulated more than half the points needed for a wish ticket. I'm progressing absurdly faster than I expected. Everything had strangely aligned, leading me here. At this rate, if I could endure just 1 year, or perhaps even less, as part of an elite squad, I might return to my original world, a peaceful 21st century Korea where creepypastas aren't real. This all flashed through my mind in an instant, but I managed to keep my expression steady, or so I hoped. Don't give anything away.
Does earning more than half the points change anything?
Instead of a direct reaction, I intentionally furrowed my brow slightly, giving an ambiguous response. Was I unsettled because I had earned that much, or annoyed because I hadn't earned enough? I kept him guessing.
Well, it's not about change, but it opens up opportunities, doesn't it? Have you ever heard of the Wish Ticket Simulator?
From a certain point, Cuter WD-718 offers a simulator tailored for promising employees with strong potential to secure a wish ticket. Right, that was one of the ghost story entries. I forced myself to recall the increasingly blurry wiki entries, while Kwak Jae-kung's voice buzzed in my ear.
This company gives employees close to earning a wish ticket a chance to test their wish, to ensure it's granted in the most appropriate way.
The threshold for being a promising employee was likely 250,000 points, or it could have been calculated based on the remaining time needed to claim a wish ticket. Either way, it seemed I'd been given the opportunity to try the simulator. If entering a ghost story can be called an opportunity.
You could always do it later, but Soleum C, who knows when your turn will come up again? I figured it'd be good for you to do it now, so I called you over.
I thought for a moment. Kwak Jae-kung specially arranging a ghost story entry for someone. There's definitely a trap. But refusing outright wasn't an option either. This man would hound me for reasons, no doubt.
Why avoid it if you're not a coward, right? Ha ha ha!
Well, there could be other reasons to avoid it.
I sighed and stood up, eager to end the conversation. If I have to face a ghost story anyway, I might as well avoid giving him any leverage.
All right, I understand. When should I enter?
You've really changed. You've shed that rookie aura, haven't you? No, that's a compliment. You're finally starting to feel like a proper employee here. No pointless chatter, straight to business, like a real elite team member.
His eyes crinkled as he laughed.
Let's get you doing some proper company work.
He slapped a file onto the table.
Employee, Jang Hae-won.
It was a photo of a gloomy, long-haired peer from the company.
And you've met before, haven't you? You went to the cheerful theme park together. He's part of the round-off team.
He's not part of the round-off team anymore, though. I believe he was reassigned to F Squad.
Oh, right, he got transferred. But he's still officially listed as someone from the round-off team. It's just a temporary dispatch to a general team. His formal reassignment won't be finalized until next year, don't you think?
Kwak Jae-kung tapped the file.
So, he's still eligible to be deployed for tasks.
A chilling sense of foreboding ran down my spine.
What exactly do you mean by that?
It's simple. Once you're done with your business in the ghost story, call that employee to the elevator and leave him there.
No, stay calm. I couldn't show any signs of distress.
Is this darkness only accessible with 2 participants, or is a sacrifice required?
Haha, figuring that out is the whole point of our research, isn't it? Just follow the instructions. It's a straightforward task, yes?
Kwak Jae-kung tossed another file onto the table. The ghost story assigned to me.
It's the elevator ghost story I told you about.
Well, I'll leave it to you, Mr. Rodeer. Don't forget to call the round-off team rookie when it's time.
I reread the manual I'd already memorized, then tucked it back into my pocket. What did I plan to do?
Hyo-1C, we're set to enter around 5 p.m. Take it easy until then.
I wasn't going to bring him along, and I knew what this meant. This could land me in serious trouble. No matter how good my excuse was, this would cause an issue. This wasn't some flexible rule I could bend and expect to get away with. But if I didn't block this entirely, it'd be meaningless. Kwak Jae-kung has likely set something up involving Jang Hae-won. I had to ensure he wouldn't come in the first place. Even if it meant risking disciplinary action, I had a potential benefit in mind, one to address after the exploration. For now, the pressing matter was this. I had to ride a haunted elevator alone. This was the first time I had entered a haunted place alone, after being given time to prepare myself. Maybe it was better when I went in blindly without knowing anything beforehand. My hands trembled with fear, and I had left Braun behind. The elevator in this ghost story is for one person only anyway. I didn't want Braun near the elevator. Who knew what could happen? I had asked Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun to check on Braun periodically, so it should be fine. I entered the building designated by the company as the confirmed entry site for QTURB-UD 718. It was a decrepit rental apartment building, with the water supply cut off long ago, though the company had temporarily restored electricity. A cold, stale odor of neglect hung in the dimly lit interior. The shadowed corridor stretched endlessly ahead of me, and there it was, the lone operating device, the elevator door on the first floor. I swallowed hard and walked down the hallway. The emergency exit signs and dim bulbs flickered as the elevator came into view.
Under maintenance. We will fix it as soon as possible. Happiness Land Apartment Security Office.
Despite the message, the yellowed slip of paper was barely hanging on by worn-out tape. This phenomenon commonly arises in buildings equipped with a single elevator, particularly when the elevator is frequently out of order or displays a maintenance sign. With trembling hands, I pressed the elevator button. The elevator slowly descended. I took a deep breath. The doors slid open, revealing a dim, rusted interior. The floor was smeared with soot as if it hadn't been cleaned in ages. Still, I stepped forward. Inside, I noticed something on either side. Dirty mirrors smudged with handprints.
Dark Exploration Records Ghost Story. Don't look in the mirror. A ghost story featured in Dark Exploration Records. Daydream Inc. Identification Code, QTRWD 718. One of the ritual-based ghost stories circulating online in the 2000s. They say, if you play rock, paper, scissors with your reflection in the elevator mirror and win, it will answer any question truthfully. The ghost story entry includes a gamebook-style guide on how to handle various phenomena. The doors are closing.
I pressed myself against the wall without a mirror and watched the doors close with a growing sense of dread. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would burst. The doors shut completely, and darkness and silence enveloped me. There I stood, alone in the stalled elevator's eerie interior. The seconds stretched endlessly. I had to endure it. If I endured. The elevator began to move, despite me not pressing any buttons. It had been summoned somewhere. All the floor buttons lit up red, casting an ominous glow throughout the cabin.
Upon entering the elevator, refrain from pressing any buttons. If the elevator begins moving on its own, you have successfully entered the ghost story. 1. Play rock, paper, scissors with your reflection in the mirror until the elevator reaches the top floor. If you win at least once, proceed to 3. If you don't win at all, proceed to 13.
I swallowed hard and cautiously turned my head to look at the left mirror. There, in the mirror, stood my pale reflection in the elevator. Countless versions of me. My front and back reflections repeated infinitely between the left and right mirrors, shrinking until they became indistinguishable points. Each reflection grew smaller, blurrier. I wiped my sweaty left hand on my shirt and slowly raised it. Then I muttered softly,
Rock, paper, scissors.
Every one of my reflections in the mirrors was showing scissors, front and back, endlessly.
Rock, paper, scissors.
This time all my reflections showed fists. I repeated it several more times.
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
On the 5th round, I chose a fist again. That's when I noticed something strange among my countless reflections. One of them opened its hand. Amid all the fists, a single reflection with an outstretched palm appeared in the farthest mirror. I froze with my hand still raised. Then, from deep within the mirrors, that distant reflection of me slowly turned its head. A wide, chilling smile. In the mirrored elevator, among the countless, ever-shrinking reflections of myself, only one anomaly stood out. A figure of me who had won the game of rock, paper, scissors, now turning its head unnaturally to look at me, grinning. The sound of the elevator shook me back to my senses. My hand had thrown rock, while the figure in the mirror had thrown paper. Losing meant I had to try again. I had to win. The elevator continued ascending.
Warning. Most accounts of this ritual report that the mirror self tends to have an unnaturally high win rate in rock, paper, scissors.
With trembling hands, I raised my fist again toward the mirror.
Rock, paper, scissors.
The reflection of my face, a twisted smirk upon its lips, turned its head to the side and changed its hand arbitrarily. The reflection chose rock. The elevator, momentarily jolting, resumed its steady ascent. In reality, nothing had changed. But in the mirror's reflection, the doors were slightly ajar. Through that gap, a pale hand emerged. The elevator continued upward.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I only needed to win once before reaching the top floor of this building. The 12th floor.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I chose scissors, but the ghost chose rock. The elevator trembled slightly, but that was it. In reality, there was no further change. However, in the mirror's reflection, the door was now more open. Through the gap, an arm and leg became visible. Half of a body was now inside the elevator, almost close enough to touch me. And yet, in reality, there was nothing there. Only the reflection in the mirror displayed this eerie scene, making it impossible to look away. If I could win once, it would all end.
3. Congratulations! You've advanced to the question phase.
This was the path forward, the least frightening and the quickest route. Please, just let me win.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I slowly raised my head. My hand was clenched into a fist, and in the mirror my reflection's hand was outstretched, palm open, as its face grinned widely at me.
13. You've failed to win even once. You cannot disembark at the top floor. What a pity.
The elevator stopped, the red lights on all the buttons extinguished, plunging the interior into darkness. I barely held back a scream. This is insane. I cautiously raised my head. In the enormous mirror reflecting this dim elevator, the elevator doors were fully open. On the floor indicator, strange numbers were displayed. 193081F. Beyond the open doors in the mirror, only a void stretched endlessly. The ghost was standing beside me. I exhaled sharply, trying to steady my breath. The ghost that had been playing rock, paper, scissors with me from the distant depths of the mirrors had now entered through the open elevator doors in the reflection, and was standing close, staring back at me from the glass. I turned my eyes slightly to the side. In reality, the decrepit, dark interior of the elevator was sealed shut. The wide-open elevator doors revealed only darkness, from which emerged another version of myself. It stood beside me, beaming with a smile so wide it seemed to split its face, gazing intently at me.
You failed the ritual. You should be cautious every time you take an elevator from now on. The thing in the mirror will continue to seek you out and try to meet you. Fortunately, you still have a chance to ask a question.
That thing in the mirror smiled as it lowered its hand.
6. From this point onward, the entity in the mirror will proceed with the ritual.
The reflection's mouth moved silently.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I looked down at my hand, which instinctively responded with rock as well, and broke out in cold sweat. If you fail to engage in rock, paper, scissors with the mirror self, it will gladly claim victory by default.
In such a case, no further instructions are provided. May you find luck and happiness in the next life.
I had no choice but to respond. Rock, paper, scissors. Once more, I raised my trembling hand. The reflection showed rock. Now it was time to pay the price for defeat. Sweat beaded on my forehead as I slowly lifted my gaze. The being in the mirror would now be the one asking questions. The ghost in the mirror, shaped like me, moved its fingers to trace a question on the glass. With trembling hands, I wrote on the mirror. The ghost standing beside me in the reflection grinned.
If you lie in your response, no further instructions are provided. May you find luck and happiness in the next life.
I'm seriously about to lose my mind here. Why can't I win even once? No matter how hard I scoured the exploration records in my mental wiki, there were no answers. The focus wasn't on the rock, paper, scissors game itself, but rather on what questions were asked afterward. There was no clear solution to winning the game. After all, isn't rock, paper, scissors supposed to be a game of luck? There's no surefire way to win. But I forced myself to look directly at the ghost in the mirror beside me, its gaze fixed on me like a predator. If that's the case, why hasn't it lost even once? A cliché where the mirror self knows everything I'll play because it's me. But if that were true, why have others managed to win? And why, in my case, has it even allowed ties? If it knew everything, shouldn't it have avoided ties entirely? If winning is possible, why?
Rock, paper, scissors.
I hastily threw my hand out. The ghost chose rock.
When's your birthday?
My hand trembled as I wrote my response. The ghost in the mirror jumped up and down, gleefully.
If the mirror entity continues leading the game until the elevator starts moving again, win at least once. Proceed to 3. Answer more than 3 questions. Proceed to 99.
I had already answered twice. I could only afford to lose one more time.
By the time you've reached this point after answering 3 questions, there's a strong chance you're no longer the same person who began reading this ritual guide. We wish you a happy life outside the mirror! Please do not return to seek us out. The mirror self swaps places with you.
No, I can't let that happen. Sweat dripped down my face, but I couldn't dwell on it. I no longer had control. Rock, paper, scissors. I hurriedly threw my hand out. Paper against paper, a tie. I barely had time to catch my breath before. Rock, paper, scissors. Bracing myself, I gritted my teeth and prepared for whatever came next. I realized it. My hand had remained raised, holding its position, so it seemed to count as a response. Right, I was still holding paper. I quickly reviewed the results of every game of rock, paper, scissors I'd played with the ghost so far. Rock, paper, scissors. I kept my hand in the same position. Rock, paper, scissors. For the third time, it was a tie. I had figured out one critical thing. The ghost in the mirror does not choose scissors. That's why choosing paper always resulted in a tie. If I played paper, the ghost would have to choose scissors to win. But since it couldn't, it was forced to choose paper as well, ensuring a tie. Why couldn't it choose scissors? There must be some hidden backstory behind this. Or maybe I was just making wild guesses. Either way, I decided to focus on the phenomenon itself. At least now I had a way to defend myself. Rock, paper, scissors. I quickly extended my hand, once again choosing paper. If I continued this way, always playing paper, I could guarantee a tie. But I can't keep this up forever. The manual didn't account for such a scenario, which was even more disheartening. The conditions remained unchanged. I need to win just once. If that ghost is the mirror me and already knows what I'll choose, it might actually be surprisingly simple. That's probably how everyone else got a clear civilians panicked in fear while playing rock, paper, scissors haphazardly, not even realizing what they were throwing. Field exploration team staff with nerves of steel, who already knew the manual and threw moves absent-mindedly. Even if someone calmed down in between and predicted their moves were being read, they'd likely have won at least one round within 5 or 6 tries. No need to keep track of what was thrown or not. But I managed to avoid both scenarios. Because I wore a mental defense item, I wasn't in a panic, but fear still gripped me enough that I overthought every move I made, leading to this predicament. Damn it. It's the worst outcome a coward with mental stability could produce. Should I take the ring off now? No, it's too late. I only have one chance left. How can I possibly? I wiped the sweat pouring down my temples. In the process, a button from my sleeve scratched my cheek, leaving a thin line of blood. I wiped it away along with the sweat. A thin red line appeared on the ghost's cheek in the mirror. My sleeve, now stained with a faint smear of blood. The blood I had wiped away, mixed with sweat, was reflected exactly. Is it? Sharing my state? Right, the mirror reflects me after all. Even if the ghost in the mirror acted independently, it was still influenced by the me outside the mirror. A flash of understanding struck me. I gritted my teeth and rummaged through my pocket. The ghost, mirroring my movements, mockingly rummaged through its own pocket and pulled out something identical. But what I retrieved wasn't some grand item. It was just a pen and a rubber band. I looped the rubber band around the pen and started fastening it to my fingers. I managed to counter. Responding quickly to the ghost's sudden move in the mirror, I continued fixing a pen to each of my thumb and index finger, securing them upright. I did the same with my left hand. The ghost in the mirror repeatedly thrust its hand forward, as if trying to disrupt me. I frantically kept up while securing my setup. My pen slipped several times, scratching my arms and hands with its tip, but eventually, I thrust my hand forward. This time it wasn't paper. Fixed in place, my fingers formed scissors with the help of the pens and rubber bands, but the ghost in the mirror kept its hand fully open, still showing paper. It has no other choice. By binding its fingers with the makeshift tools I'd mirrored onto it, the ghost couldn't bend its fingers to form a fist. This means it can't throw rock, nor could it throw scissors. The only move left was paper. Scissors versus paper. The ghost in the mirror slammed its head against the glass. I froze in place, paralyzed. The mirror cracked, ripples spreading through it, shards breaking off. The thing inside the mirror could not escape. The vibration stopped. The ghost, which had been smashing its head against the glass, lifted its gaze. The grin that stretched its mouth moments ago was gone, replaced with an eerie, blank expression. It looked down at its own restrained hands, then its distorted face twisting in frustration, distorting even further, into an expression no human could ever mimic. Its bizarre, twisted face stared directly at me before suddenly, The ghost cackled madly as it darted out through the open elevator doors inside the mirror. I slumped down into my seat. The elevator began moving again. The strange symbols on the floor indicator disappeared, replaced by normal numbers.
You have arrived at the 12th floor. The doors are opening. 3. Congratulations. You have successfully completed the ritual. Exit on the top floor and locate the nearest window. If no window is present, proceed to 7.
Staggering, I stepped out into the dark, desolate hallway. Though it had been daytime when I entered, it now felt as if the sun had long since set. The grim corridor was filled with cracked windows, some taped over, others covered in graffiti. If I had entered alone before, I would have screamed and fled from this abandoned building. But now, even the eeriness brought a sense of relief. I moved toward the nearest window on the opposite side. Though it was filthy and fogged with dust, I didn't hesitate to place my finger on it.
You are allowed to write any question on the window, and the entity within the mirror would respond. The answer it provides will always be the truth.
The most pressing question. The wish I wanted to be granted. Will the wish ticket elixir from Daydream Inc. allow me to return to the world I originally came from? I lifted my finger from the glass. Then at the bottom of the window, other letters began to slowly appear. The answer to my question. Winning against the elevator mirror ghost in rock, paper, scissors granted me one reward. A single question answered. But naturally, the truths revealed by ghost stories weren't always good. They might be answers I didn't like or ones that were completely useless. For example, if you asked when humanity would go extinct, you might get an answer like, long after you're dead. That would still technically be the truth. So, if I were to ask, what's the way back to my original world? It could easily respond with something extremely vague and simplistic. Instead, it was better to confirm whether the method I was already pursuing could truly return me to my original world. Daydream Inc.'s wish ticket potion. My heart pounded as I waited. Returning is possible, certainly. A clear and absolute affirmation. I let out a deep sigh of relief and slid to the ground. The tension in my body finally eased. To be honest, I'd been worried it might give me an ambiguous or negative response. I tried not to think about it, but sometimes doubts crept in. What if the wish ticket potion can't bring me back after all? What if I mess up the conditions, and it works in some twisted way? Still, I had tried to suppress those thoughts. Doubts wouldn't change the fact that the wish ticket was my best chance. Even if I'm scared, I have to keep going. And believing it would work was the only way to endure the terrifying jobs I had to complete here. Now, with this assurance, I could work with even more determination. I'd gather the remaining points as quickly and safely as possible. I stood up, bolstered by newfound resolve. For once, I feel motivated to work, but I wasn't out of the ghost story just yet. I still have to complete the ritual.
If you have safely received your answer, it is now time to conclude the ritual and return. The steps required to return safely will depend on the number at which you won rock, paper, scissors to reach the top floor. If you came from 1, proceed to 10. If you came from 6, proceed to 11.
Number 1 was the scenario for when the person playing rock, paper, scissors had won immediately and reached the top floor without a hitch. So after that, when proceeding to number 10, the story would end with something like, take the stairs down, avoid elevators with double-sided mirrors for the next 3 days, and you'll be fine. I failed along the way. Failure made the next steps scarier and more painful. I decided to check the company-provided manual to clarify the steps.
11. If you reach the top floor by winning a game led by the entity in the mirror, your escape process depends on how many questions you answered. First, board the elevator again.
I swallowed hard and turned back to face the elevator doors. The elevator was still stopped on the 12th floor, and when I pressed the button, the doors slid open. Inside, the right mirror was shattered, revealing the grimy, rusted interior of the elevator.
At this stage, you must hold the door open button continuously while inside the elevator. Do not release the button under any circumstances. Instead of looking at the mirror you faced during the rock, paper, scissors game, direct your gaze toward the opposite mirror.
I shifted my gaze to the left mirror. The shattered right mirror no longer reflected an infinite repeating space. Instead, the fragmented reflections glinted across the elevator's dim interior, and Something strange was there. My head hung low, unnaturally so. I was wearing a tattered suit, standing unnervingly still. It was the ghost that had played rock, paper, scissors with me. The reflection began to lift its head slowly. Its expressionless face locked eyes with mine, and it started to move closer, until it was almost pressed against the mirror.
You must endure until the elevator emits a sound. Do not move or avert your gaze until the sound ceases. Be aware that the more questions you have answered, the longer this phase will last.
But there were limits. Even though a glass pane separated us, the ghost felt like it was creeping closer, impossibly close. My trembling hand clung to the door open button. I had to think about something else. Is that the thing that answered my question on the glass? Yes, it must have been. I nearly let go of the button. The ghost pressed its head against the mirror and glared at me. Its mouth moved soundlessly. I want to get out. 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 I quickly shifted my gaze slightly downward to avoid meeting its eyes. Sweat dripped from my chin, but through the fear, the effect of the silver ring shone through. I stayed calm, barely. Because it's trapped in the mirror. Come to think of it, that ghost couldn't make the scissors hand gesture, could it? Why couldn't it make scissors? I thought about the hand gesture for scissors in rock, paper, scissors. Whether you lift your thumb or middle finger along with it, the index finger always takes center stage. And when I thought about the hand gestures involving the index finger in an elevator, one action immediately came to mind. That ghost, can it not press buttons? Sure, it could physically press them by hitting them with its fist or banging its head against them. But this wasn't about physical action. It was about the concept and intent. A ghost trapped in the infinite mirror world of the elevator. A completely sealed space created by the two facing mirrors. And the warning in the manual about failing the ritual by losing rock, paper, scissors.
Exercise caution every time you ride an elevator from this point forward. The entity in the mirror will seek you out and attempt to meet you.
Because it wants to get out? I tried not to look directly at the ghost smashing its head against the mirror and continued to think. That ghost is trapped in the elevator.
The alarm for holding the elevator too long sounded. When this sound is heard, exit the elevator immediately and use the stairs. Never use this elevator again. If possible, attach a sign to prevent others from riding it until the next day's sunrise. Additionally, when using elevators with double-sided mirrors, do not look at the mirrors for more than 5 seconds. It will come for you.
I hesitated, then stepped out of the elevator and let go of the open button. At the same time, I lightly tapped one of the floor buttons. As expected, since it was a mirror, the elevator in the reflection also lit up the 1F button. Without looking at the expression of the ghost that wore my face, I quickly bolted out of the open doors. The doors, no longer held open, slid shut, and the elevator began to move. From the 12th floor, I took the stairs down to the 1st floor. As I rushed down the creaking steps, I thought I heard the elevator's cheerful announcement.
First floor. The doors are opening.